Green means good, right? Oh, why isn't it? Oh, there it is. Okay. Cool. Hi, guys. Welcome to the March DM newsletter for This Is Gonna Hurt, a 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons podcast.
Yay!
You can't just say this is gonna hurt. You have to say,
Yeah.
the whole thing. So when you talk about it to your friends, which you should be every day,
Like,
until
you just
they're
say
not
Red
friends with you
Robin.
anymore. Yum.
See?
They're opening one up. I'm not thrilled about that.
Next to Chick-fil-A.
Anyway, hi guys. So yeah, this is March. There's things happening, and we're gonna talk about them.
There's madness in the air!
Well, it's like almost the end of March, though, right?
Oh, yeah.
Is it done?
I think so.
I don't know.
I'm not a sportser.
You don't sport.
Mm.
Cool. So we're we're gonna talk about what's going on in the podcast first, and then we'll do housekeeping things afterwards if we have any, and hopefully you guys send us some questions and stuff along the way. I did remember Trevor asked us 2 newsletters ago what equipment we were using for recording stuff, and at the time I couldn't remember the name of one of the microphones. It's a Shure SM57, just so you know. Cool. Oh, and one of the things that we're saving up for is headset microphones,
that's cool.
The broadcast microphones that people use for sports games, for sports.
Thank you, patrons.
So yeah, we get those. That'd be cool because then we don't have these things in front of the table, and we have the whole table, and it'd be fun.
For the record, I don't actually know if we use patron money for that. I know very little.
It's something that we might get to do. We're still working on paying for hosting, which is pretty cool. But anyway, so it would help if I press the button on here. We're good. It's just the backup. So in the podcast, the other 3 guys, who are really the other 2 guys and somebody else now, were at the Saloon of Secret Sea. They found out some stuff from the bartender. They broke up a fight, and then they went back to the bar, the Barking Bard, and that's where we left off. I was going through that, so I don't give away anything else that's happened afterwards. Really quick, was there a set inspiration for the Saloon of Secret Sea, or was it something that you were coming up with on the fly? Slash, how much of what we did during the session everybody just listened to is on the fly versus pre-planned?
So, I knew the map. I drew out the map ahead of time, so I knew what that was going to look like. Emmett, I had played as a playable character the day before.
Oh, really?
In a campaign run by Craig.
Oh.
So he knew he was a character that I liked, and I was pretty sure I was going to use him as an NPC. And as I was building him, I just was so excited. And when Craig was just like, "Hey, I'm going to start a new campaign," I was just like, "I know a character I want to play." I will say it's a little odd playing a character
in 2 different,
and then also NPCing that character, because I can do anything I want with him as DM.
Yeah.
I have to work around Craig.
Right.
So, his personality is the same.
Okay, I was going to say, is the personality the same and, the general, are you using basically the same character sheet, basically?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not that I've needed it for him as an NPC,
but...
but
just that you...
Oh, well, no, because he's different. He's a different level.
Okay.
I like to think that at a certain level in my campaign with Craig, someone is going to, bring him a letter, and it's going to be "We need you back in Etrun." And then he's going to be he's going to hold it. He's going to say to his adventurers, he's going to be "In some universe, I go home to Etrun, but not this one." And he rips, so he stays with them, but then a parallel version of him comes back, and now he's that's.
So we're playing with the multiverse here.
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, like I said,
I
think every D&D campaign is a shadow and an echo of every other D&D campaign. So, so I knew who Emmett was. I know ultimately where I need them to go, which you, the listener, have not listened to yet.
But we did sort of play it. We got through part of it.
I mean, ultimately, what I want them to accomplish at the bar.
Right.
I had that in mind. But that's it.
Okay.
In the moment, I made up the
Do you like
3
the other people in the bar?
NPCs in the bar. Well, I guess there was 4, right?
Well,
Those I all made up.
Emmett, Thonk.
Thonk I made up on the fly.
I keep forgetting the half orc was there, or was it a full orc?
He's a half orc. I'm pretty sure it was a half orc.
I kept forgetting he was there.
I should listen to that.
And then the guy in the background, in like the side room.
The gang name I came up with earlier, like right before we started playing, because I knew it was going to come up.
Okay.
But I thought about that right before we started playing.
Cool.
But yeah, so most of that was on the fly because I didn't know. You know, I don't know. Ultimately, you know, it doesn't matter to me because, like, you know, if I need you to get a piece of information, and let's say you're in a dungeon or whatever, and in my head, at the end of the dungeon is a note that says, "Hey, go to this place."
Right.
If you decide not to go to that dungeon, I can have that note exist anywhere.
True.
I am God. So, you know, I don't know. It's like I've been kind of winging it more and more, and I've been enjoying it. I will say we're playing tomorrow.
Very excited.
And I'm working on some maps because we haven't used maps in a really long time, and I personally miss them as well. So I'm working on some maps.
I just like using our minis because they look so pretty. We can't not use them.
Yeah. So I'm working on some maps.
Cool.
And yeah, but ultimately the layout of the bar and kind of what you, Steven, have experienced and what the listener will soon experience, it was kind of an inspiration from. I actually talked about it. One of the best sessions we ever had was me, Craig, and our friend Dom. It was just the 3 of us, and Craig and I, our characters knew each other. His character was Atreus, actually, when he was alive.
Yes.
Or not a sword. And we went in, and Dom's character was in the bar, and we kind of had to infiltrate a little bit, and it was one of the most fun sessions I've ever played. So that was kind of like...
That was like a 95% improvised session. Of it. I had like something like I knew I wanted you guys to do, and then you guys just started the bar fight, and they got away from me.
That's what...
There was something I was reading where it was like, because you just mentioned like the note in the dungeon too, where I was reading it on Reddit or something, and somebody was basically complaining about the fact that their players didn't go down this place and like find this note, and a lot of the people were like, but like if they didn't go down that way and that's information you want them to have, like find another way to give it to them.
Right.
And that's kind of like what you were just saying. So just DM like pro tip. You know, your players won't do everything you want them to, like come with it on the fly.
And you have, and here's the thing: you have to also be willing to accept that if they miss that piece of information, then you have to be willing to spawn a whole side story to realistically get them that same information, which you can do. You know what I mean? If there was a note, and because you just didn't look under the bed, and you didn't find that note, but I really need you to get into that information because it's the knowledge you need to find the thing to save the world, then you're going to go back to the person that sent you there, and you're going to be like, we didn't find anything. And he'll be like, okay, try this. Right. And you can give them a whole separate thing, you know, and they don't need to know that the note was supposed to be there. They didn't find it, you know. There's that veil between what you know and what they know. Or, you know, he bumps into the door, which knocks over a shelf, and it falls out of a book. You know, like, again, it's balancing being realistic, being challenging, but also making it fun.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Cool. It was a good segment there. Yeah, felt good about that. I don't remember if we talked about this last time because I can't remember when we did our last newsletter when Junta came in.
I'll talk about it again.
Yeah, so if we covered it already, we're sorry, but what the heck.
He's a turtle.
He's a turtle. Turtle. You should just be Dana Carvey. So, how much of Junta did you know was going to be Junta when we started that session? Like, we all kind of knew already that he was going to be a Turtle Cleric just because we had that Twitter thing. But did you know, like, anything else about him?
Junta was going to be in the bar when you got back from the Wizard District.
Okay.
but it was taking so long that I don't know if you remember. I was just like, okay,
Yes.
pause. We'll edit this part out. I pulled Jeremy aside and I said, "You're gonna be like." Actually, I didn't even know. I was like, "Are you in a troon?" And he told me, and I was like, "Okay, you're gonna be watching the Enchanters," and he was like, "That's perfect because Jinsa's,
Right.
just learning. Oh, he's a learner of things." That's Brian Regan reference for all of you comedy fans out there. And he was like, "All right, sounds good." And we sat down, and that's where he was. He was gonna be in the bar,
Okay.
but it was taking too long. Or,
Yeah.
Again, he was. We did start to talk about this last time because we revealed
This
that
sounds a little familiar,
revealed
but we
that
hadn't
he was
gotten
sitting
that far.
there the whole time quietly, and we
Right.
just pretended that he
Yeah.
wasn't there.
Cool.
So
yeah,
I like Jinta a lot, actually.
I don't want to say I like him more than Lorthamar.
It's a totally different
but it's
dynamic.
It's a different character, and it's a different feel for the whole group because of that.
Yeah,
cool.
You're a little goofier now.
Some of my favorite things that he's said so far are like the episodes that are coming up, and I just like it. I think because he's like a more
no, for me it's
like,
tell me where I can find some leaves. That's my favorite.
That was good.
Maybe of the whole podcast. Like it's like one of the best things anyone has said. It's just different, you know. I think now that you have a giant turtle who, one, doesn't know that much about the world, but is eager to learn about the world. Like you have the opportunity for hijinks in a way that you never had before when you had.
And I love hijinks.
You know, your strict father who was there with you the whole time, and you know.
True. Cool. Yeah. So after that, I guess the next thing is that halfling that I played because I was so bored. I was kind of laying on the floor.
Yeah.
Like, which is it's on me because I did want to spend the time doing the spell book and there's stuff going on besides that. But it was fun coming up with this character, and we didn't go into his backstory that much because I was making it up on the spot. But we've already discussed that, like, gangsters burned his house down, his bakery down, and Emmett gave him a bag of gold and told him peace out. We talked about it after that session about, like, following him somehow and, like, doing some rolls and figuring out, like, if the dwarf caught up to him or if he manages to get out of Stromel's and start a new bakery, a new life somewhere else. We're trying to figure out what the best way to do that is, if people are actually interested in that. If you are interested in that, let us know. If you're not interested in that, also let us know, because then we won't do it, maybe. But it could be like a cool little...
We should do a Twitter poll.
We should do a Twitter poll. But depending on how we do it, that could be like a fun little thing. So we're going to put a poll out there now, I guess, and find out how you guys feel about that, because that'd be cool. Yeah. Do you have any, like, tidbits?
Y'all like Thonk?
Thonk is the man. Wait, so you kind of mentioned that, like, Emmett is, like, another character, which I had no idea of.
Yeah.
So why is he a bartender, though? Because, like, he kind of told us, like, it's because, like, politics, but, like, why is he a bartender, though?
He does other things. He's a bartender for fun, to be perfectly honest. Like, he, like, between, like, what he left behind and, like, what he could go back to at any time at school, at the school that he graduated from, was part of, like, he'd have it made. Like, he's a smart enough guy and a good enough wizard that he could easy do research or even be a professor. And I think that's something he actually likes doing. I actually think he likes to teach. Because for him, it's like learning this, like being a wizard is not an easy task. It's hard. It's work. You know, it's the math and science of the fantasy world. But I think he had a teacher who made it fun. And so in that regard, I think he'd be a good teacher, actually. He's got like this past though. So he really doesn't want to. It is politics. A romance that was left behind, which is also quasi-political. But so
how much of that is from your background of like the character that you were gonna play, and how much of it is it like?
That's all the NPC that I made, and now I'm using that in my playable character. Okay. So Craig actually knows a little bit more than everybody else about his backstory.
Cool.
But he's a bartender for fun. I mean, he sells healing potions on the side.
Oh, okay.
Like he spends a couple hours a day working on healing potions. One healing potion that you can make in, I think, a day. I think the weakest healing potion, I think, in the new Xanathar's Guide, you can make the lowest level healing potion in 1 day. It's worth 50 gold pieces.
But how much does it take to make it?
25.
Well, that's not a bad profit margin.
So, you know what I mean? Like, it's 1 day's worth, and 1 day's worth of work, and he makes 25 gold. That's enough to live for the month.
Right.
Modestly.
Yeah.
Or more than modestly. And so he'll just, like, he'll sell a few potions, like, make a bunch of gold, and, like, people, in other towns that he's lived in, people would hear that he's a wizard, and they'd come be like, oh, can you mend this? And he'd be like, yeah, sure, it's a quarter of what the item might cost, and he'll spend 10 minutes, and it doesn't cost him anything. He'll mend it, and so like he'll just do these like odd jobs.
Cool.
Whenever he needed to eat, and so I don't know, I think he bartends for fun, because he even said, I think it's in the one they heard. I could be wrong, but they mentioned like, hey, would you want a job uptown if we like knew somebody?
Yeah, that was.
And he says something to the effect of, I like it down here.
Okay.
Like I think like the characters that he meets, and like I think he.
Yeah, he seems like not like disappointed in like the clientele, but he's like aware that it's like not a savory place, but it also doesn't seem to like faze him like.
No, I don't think it does.
Okay, because he knows he's like a wizard, and he can like.
I mean, he's no saint. I mean, I'll throw that in there. Like,
okay.
He's like his romance ending was his fault.
Okay.
Because there may have been more than one romance going on. But yeah, he's no saint, and so I think he I don't know, maybe he's looking for redemption and like spending time with sinners.
Okay.
Like maybe he's I actually really haven't thought of, but maybe he spends time with people that he knows are worse than him, because it makes him feel like the things he's done in his past aren't egregious. Yeah, maybe
there was a Bradley Cooper movie where he's like a chef, and he did something like messed up in like France or something, and he like consigns himself to shucking like oysters, like 1 million oysters in like New Orleans, and then once he does like 1 million oysters, he like goes back to his life.
It's like a penance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe it's like a little bit of that.
Okay.
But I think I don't know. I think he thrives in the underbelly versus high society. I think he can navigate high society pretty well too. But
how does he make the flavored beer?
Prestidigitation.
Oh, I thought it was gonna be like something like really like.
Nope.
It's like the way like he's like looking for like the flavors like kind of like up in the air. He's just being
lunatic.
He's making putting a show on.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. That's funny.
Yeah, it's prestidigitation. He can flavor.
I didn't know.
Which is funny because
part of it.
Those effects actually don't last that long, so he can really only do like 3 beers at once. So you
have to like drink it.
So like basically like he intentionally like times something out where he like will like once he sees you're at the bottom of your drink,
he'll
like give somebody else their drink. So by the time they're halfway done, that person has like ordered their second drink, and like
that's really funny.
He'll send Tonk with the drink, or
so he's got like
Tonk with the drink, so that way
system.
He's really smart. I mean, he's got an intelligence of like 19 or something. So he's a really smart guy.
That's really funny.
But cool. Thonk. I want to talk more about Thonk than Emmett. Emmett's great. In the campaign, I actually play him a little bit more like Deadpool, where he just kind of like never shuts up. He's the type that like, if you were in front of a king, and like the king's right hand person was just like silence in the presence of the king, he'd be like, "Ooh, tough guy." That's kind of how I play him a little more in the campaign. You haven't seen that quite as much. in Gonna Hurt. But Thonk is a tiny servant, as per the 3rd level spell from Xanathar's Guide to Everything. Tiny servant. And I really didn't want to use a Stein because it's the exact image used in Xanathar's Guide. And I'm sitting there looking at the spell and I'm just like, what can I, and I was like, maybe like a little wooden box or like the money box or like a gear with, and it just nothing felt right. And I just kept looking at the picture of this Stein and I was just like, excuse me. I was just like, that's
it.
That's just it. That's just him. So.
Okay.
Did I finish this movie?
I don't see it anywhere.
Guess I'm finished.
Cool. You gonna go check on that?
Yes.
So he's gonna look for a smoothie for a second. I want to do some housekeeping while he's
Dang
doing that. What?
Finished my smoothie.
Oh no.
It's gone.
We're working on, the blog for our website, which will hopefully be up within the month. And it's going to be a mixture of like introduction to D&D stuff for people that haven't played it before, but have been listening to like podcasts or, watching shows like Critical Role and stuff like that. Critical Role? Critical Hit?
Both exist.
Cool. So like those things. And then I'll have like a mixture of like player tips and DM tips and stuff like that. If you have any tips that you think are really cool and you want to like share with other people, send them in.
Or want to write an article.
Or, if you want to write an article, email us at thisisgonnahurtinfo@gmail.com.
You get the credit.
And we'll
just post it.
Make that work.
Assuming we borderline agree with what you're saying.
That's true. If you go on like a weirdly anti-half-orc racist...
That's messed up.
That's not cool. Half-orcs are people too.
Horks are people too.
Orcs. So that's something we're working on. We're working...
Oh, I'm so frustrated with you!
Well, why?
Because Brimley was the one who made up the word hork.
Yes.
And you were supposed to say it when you met Riblar the Butcher, and he was going to be like, "You're not allowed to say hork!" And it was going to be like a commentary on like
honestly,
racism, and
eventually it would have come up because like
maybe
really what happened is I forgot I said that, and like other people would have like mentioned it, like Alex or Craig definitely would have been like, "Oh yeah, like hork," and I'd be like, "Oh yeah, you're a hork." But anyway,
that was me. This whole like,
yeah.
I hope you understand the reference I'm making, but like.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry I let you down.
Sorry.
We're working on updating rewards for Patreon, and those will probably be kicking in when we start Season 3, because it doesn't make sense to start them, like, halfway through a season. Or almost at the end of a season? Possibly?
Probs magobs.
I was looking at Season 1, and we did, like, 40-something episodes for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're on 39
I mean,
right
for
now.
me, it's less about the number.
Yeah, but it's like I feel like that's the period of time which like that amount of events happens.
Yeah. For me, it ends up being a. Where does it make sense?
Yeah. Cool.
To leave off.
If you are a member of the chapter, which is the $10 a month level on Patreon, the next guide is coming out on Sunday, which is April 1st, and that is for the Fonswood, which is not a country, but sort of like a country in the country of Maelorn, which is the second podcast.
The country of Maelorn.
The country. It's not really a country. It's
like
more
a confederation.
Like yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But that's just like
what the United States was supposed to be. Sorry.
Basically. Which is true, because they're not like super defined states either. Like it's just kind of like general areas where, certain groups have existed for a while, but like some mingling has gone on depending on the area. You'll see, maybe. We'll get into it. And then after that, for the month of May, the next chapter guide is going to be...
Oh, you actually want me to tell them?
Yeah, just give us like the name.
It's going to be about the Elementarium.
Cool.
Which is the college, the school that Emmett went to.
Yeah.
Which isn't super related, but I can't stop writing about it. And I was just like,
that's cool. I'm on board.
The dorms and like the main buildings and the faculty. I'm like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. And then...
So I'm hoping that you eventually reach the city of Varro, which is... the holy city of Elkavara.
You know what? When we start tomorrow, I'll just be like, forget everything else we're doing. We're going to Varelk. That's the next plan.
Do it.
And then in June, after that, it's going to be the city of Sangha, which is the capital of Maelorn. And I drew my first city map yesterday, and I'm really feeling it. I just like drawing city maps now. I didn't know that. Like I've had like a block about it for a really long time, and then it just like clicked yesterday. So that was cool. Yeah,
Cool.
If you're good at drawing city maps, like get in touch too, because I don't know where to go from here. So we'll see what happens there. The other cool thing that is happening at the end of the last session that you guys just heard, or last episode, not the last session, we mentioned that there's like a jobs board. And we mentioned it before, but now it's like up on the wall, and maybe we'll find out if there's jobs or not. We thought it'd be cool if on Patreon we're gonna figure out which level to like have it be at. But if you guys want to put jobs up on the job board, email us, or once we get that level set up on Patreon.
So people tweeted at me. Totally going to use those.
Yeah.
But moving forward.
Yeah, going forward, we're going to make it like a reward thing so that we're not like overwhelmed with them, and then we can like make sure they're actually like good things that fit. So we're actually really excited about that.
But some really hard ones too. Like
yeah, like really like fun things.
So I was telling him earlier, so I am heavily inspired in all things from 4 manga. The big 4. Except Dragon Ball Z.
Wait, I guess. I feel like I know, but I always forget. I got Naruto. I want to say Fairy Tail. I also want to say that Butler one because you used that Butler, but I don't think so.
One hell of a Butler.
Bleach? No, you don't. Do you read Bleach? You did. Okay.
It's over now.
Dragon Ball Z or Kenshin would have been my next 2, so I don't know.
Yo. Yeah, yo.
The One Piece?
Don't give it up.
Is that the one with the pirate guy?
Don't give it up. Zoro dreaming. Yeah.
I actually don't even know the theme song, so I feel really good about the fact that I figured that out. You're inspired by the 4.
His name is Luffy. There's Monkey D. Luffy, king of the... Yeah, Steve, he's made of rubber. You're supposed to ask how that happened. So he's made of rubber.
How did that happen?
Yo ho ho, he took a bite of gum. Anyway. So heavily inspired by those 4 manga. Obviously, like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings are all big parts of it. For me, there's something about the way those 4 manga kind of handle adventure and like, you know, acquiring team members, and I love it. And the way they did missions in both Naruto and Fairy Tail, even though they're unrelated, is they rank them. And in Fairy Tail specifically, or no, in Naruto, you go D, B, that would be dumb. D, C, B, A. Sorry, I can't do the alphabet backwards. And then S was like, oh, shoot, this is crazy. Actually, they did the same thing with demons in Yu Yu Hakusho. Manga love S, for some reason, is above A.
I wonder if that's like part of Japanese like rating.
It might be. And honestly, it might be. And then I think there might have even been double S missions. But Fairy Tail introduced this really cool concept. There's this character named Gildarts, and his magic was awesome. He just like everything he touched would just like explode and break. Like he'd never use doors. He would just like bust through the walls. It's really cool. And he was off on an 100-year mission. And a 100-year mission isn't a mission that takes 100 years. It's a mission that's been on message board for 100 years.
Oh, wow.
Meaning so there are 10-year missions, meaning for 10 years nobody has been able to accomplish this.
Okay.
For 100 years, nobody has been able to accomplish this mission. And I think that is like really cool that like you could be looking at the same mission that your grandfather, who's an adventurer, looked at and was like, when I was a boy, I thought I would slay the dragon Ashar-Dalan, and like whatever. So do some really hard ones. And if you think that it'd be like 100 years that nobody has ever been able to accomplish this, put that in a note, because I love that stuff.
That could also be like a side thing too. If there's like a bunch of like really cool ones up there, but like we don't have the time to do them all. But also,
I'd love it if some of them you're not capable of doing too.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Like some of them you could do. So this is some honesty. We almost weren't gonna be. We're gonna play tomorrow. We almost weren't gonna be able to play, and we were nervous because we've never missed a week, and we were gonna have to miss a week.
I was very upset.
Yeah, I was too. I wasn't
am all
happy.
about punctuality.
Me too. Consistency. I'm. It's important to me. But I'm realizing now that if there was ever, like, if we ever needed like an episode, like we could do like, Korath goes and finds that missing dog.
That's true.
Brimley goes and works in the rice fields.
It's true.
You know, or like whoever can come.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
and we just like, and it doesn't even have to like make sense. Like even if you're in the middle of a cave, and it's like we can just do like a little side snippet. By the way, when they were in Stromels, here's something they did on their weekend. You know, like, so
cool.
That's why I put you know,
so please send us the jobs.
Great missions, because they may end up as like kind of filler arc sessions.
Yes.
You know.
Cool. That was all I could think of. I did start reading Ready Player One today, and the entire like first 8 chapters or 9 chapters, and not even like through it yet. But it's like not all about, but like the section that he's on is like really D&D oriented, and
cool.
it has to do with like the Tomb of Horrors module released in like the 70s, and I was like, this is really cool. That's the only reason I actually kept reading the books. Like I got kind of like sidetracked for a minute, and I was like, no, this is like I'm feeling it now. So just in case you didn't know what was going on in there, I'm only on chapter 9, but I'm liking it so far. Cool.
How does this guy fly?
Don't question the Jabberwock.
With wings like that?
I feel like I've seen, like, in cartoons, like, demons with, like, torn wings, but they still manage to do it. Like, he's really big, so even, like, that section of wing is probably, like, a decent amount of wing.
It's really cool.
He's really cool. Yeah. Alright, he's going to admire that for a little bit. And I think that's all we've got for this week. We've just clocked in at a little over half an hour. So we will see you around. Peace.
Peace.